All right, got a couple things going on here. Landscape lighting. In the old days when this was incandescent bulbs, you're lucky if any of them worked after a year. Here, 2 years old on this landscape lighting, and right now I'm down to just 2 that didn't work. I got one here that in this area that I don't know, just quit working for whatever reason, and then this one here, right here, has gotten too many times, has been run over by this thing right here. That's pretty much the cause of a lot of our problems. So we either got to teach him to stop going through there, or we got to have a way of fixing the damage that he causes. If you have landscape lighting, you probably have problems. A number of them. Now here, let me just show you what we got going on. I got this globe. One of the lights out there that doesn't work. This globe is broken because the dog runs over it. This particular light, this LED, stopped working. And you can order, I think those are fairly inexpensive. But you do have to do some farting around unsoldering and soldering on those wires. But definitely can be done. But I'm not going to worry about that right now because, and this is my suggestion to you, if you ever put in landscape lighting, and a lot of things are like this, if you ever put in landscape lighting, and let's just say you need 10 lights, all right? I couldn't suggest you enough getting about 12 lights because sooner or later, a dog's going to run over them, or they're just going to go out for some reason, unknown reason, they just don't work, or that globe will break, okay? And you know that the globe's going to cost as much as the light itself, and they'd have to order it. But here's the other thing. Stuff like this, the stuff that comes from big box stores anyway, it tends to get discontinued, you know? And you know, in a couple of years, you will not be able to get one that matches what you have. That may or may not be that big a deal because they'll have one that's close, unless you get a really weird looking one. As I say, you're putting landscape lighting, try to stick with normal. So when you need to add or replace years down the road, you can put a different one in there and no one's going to know the difference. But what I did is I bought a couple extra here just because I know I'll need them. And so I'll show you how to replace these. I got to replace both of my non-functioning lights, and it's a fairly easy thing to do. So let me get on that. All right. Gonna replace one of these landscape lights. One of them I already have removed, and the other one is still in. So show you the removal process on the second one. They make these things simple to install almost to a fault. It's really kind of chintzy, if you ask me, their whole construction, and these are among the better of the ones I've seen. Just for example, this finish on them, in about a year they turn black. You know, right now they kind of have a brushed copper look. Well, in about a year they'll be about the same color as that dog there. So, but they look better black, I think, anyway. But that's the way they came, so that's what I got. There's not too much to installing these things. You just pretty much press it together. That's really all there is to it. Not very difficult at all. And then you just jab that spike in the ground, and this guy right here you take apart, and that's probably the trickiest part, is getting that apart. You have to kind of pry out on that. I'll probably have to get a little screwdriver and pry out on these prongs, and then it takes apart and it comes apart, and you can, oh, there you go, it's got little prongs in there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's little prongs that pierce through the wire insulation, and you snap it together, and that's really all there is to it. So, don't have a cameraman here, so just going to do this all by winging it, and if you can't see it, my apologies. That's just the way it is. So, basically you just take these little prongs there, and you just pierce the wire insulation, and you got to remember exactly how these things go back together. There, so it goes like that, and you pierce the wire insulation from the side, and you do the same thing to the other, and then you press her together, and that's all there is to that. Now we'll see if the thing works. I'll stick this in the ground right out here. That looks about right. There we go. And now I'll turn on the power. And it doesn't work, huh? Well, no, nothing's working. Well, hold it. I don't have it on power. I have it on auto rather than power. And on auto, it has to be dark for it to work. How about now? Yeah, how about that? How about that? Now that's about one of the easiest repairs you're ever going to do. The other thing they suggest, out of the way, dog. Dog somewhere else. You're supposed to cover up that connection there with some black electrical tape. I honestly don't know what good that'll do other than keep it from coming apart. So I will do that. I'll cover it up with the rocks. I'll put the lid on it, and that'll be all there is to that. I guess I can put the lid on right now. But like I say, the main point of this video is a suggestion that when you put in landscape lighting, make sure you buy a few more than what you need, because for whatever reason, a dog, a cord for a hedge trimmer, what have you, is going to take one of these suckers out and ruin it. And you will not be able to get a replacement. If you're lucky, you might be ordering, but the store won't stock them. I don't know why. They keep changing suppliers, and the suppliers keep changing the designs. So what you have right now, chances are you will not be able to match up later. So get a couple extra to get you by. So I go do the other one that doesn't work down there, and I'll tape up this here with some electrical tape, covered up with a rock, and then we'll be done. Alright, like I said, last step on this is to tape up over there your connection. I don't really know why it's that necessary, but that's what it says in the instructions. But I thought I would just give you this one quick tip here. I'm the kind of guy who likes to use new stuff. You know, you're almost done with a tube of toothpaste, and instead of farting around squeezing out that last bit, I like to just open the new one. And because my wife likes squeezing out the last bit, so I let her take care of that, and she always likes it when I open a new tube and the old tube isn't used yet. So that way you got two tubes going on. If two people are brushing teeth at the same time, it's kind of a better deal. So I always like to open up new stuff, and I don't like to have the last bit out of a box of crackers either. I like to open a new one. So that kind of habit you might think is bad, but actually with electrical tape it is good. When you get down to one of these electrical tape rolls and there's not that much left, you might be tempted, well, I'll just use every bit of that, okay? Instead of being tempted to use the new one. But there is an advantage to doing that this way. If you have a smaller roll, and this happens with cars all the time, there'll be a lot of times where there's not enough clearance to get that big roll wrapped between two wires. And I got this going on right now because this this wire for the landscape lighting is held in with landscape staples. Now I could pull out all the staples, yeah I could, but then it would mean more digging. Or I could use a small roll of electrical tape, and that way I have clearance to wrap it around. Otherwise, this wire I can only pull about 2 inches off the ground. So, but with my handy dandy small roll of electrical tape, I can just tape this right up slicker than all hell, and plenty of clearance. I would not be able to do this with a brand new roll of tape. So there's a little tip you can use for your automotive repair when you're doing landscape lighting. And like I say, just about everything in life is connected in one way or another, and one thing can transfer to something else. And there you go. Then the last step, you just cover it up with your rock that you brushed aside to begin with. Take your time doing that, because you don't want to have somebody catch their foot on that wire when they're trimming bushes or what have you. And that's all there is to that. So let's go do the next one. Now this one here, the dog damaged. And even if the dog didn't damage it, we would certainly blame it on the dog. Come to think of it, the dog damaged the other one too. So he kept running over it, taking a shortcut off the porch, still walking down the walk. Has to take a shortcut, and he took this one out. Well, then it got wet and the LED got ruined, it didn't work. And he broke the globe. Bad dog, okay? So, first thing I'll do is we'll scrape away the landscape rock. Like I say, I bet you could probably order new globes for this. I bet the globe costs as much as the light. And you know you're going to need one someday, so you might as well buy a couple extra right away. Because those big box stores don't like to stock the exact same thing for more than a couple years. And like I say, if you don't want to get extra lamps, landscape lights, at the very least, choose a normal looking design. Don't get some weird looking thing because you think it's cute. Get something normal, and that way when they discontinue stocking your design, at least you'll be able to match it up with something that's close enough to the same that no one else will know the difference. Now we got this taken out. Oh wow, heard a piece of broken glass. Sure, I'm glad I could have cut my finger. Yeah, here it is. But I'd sure hate to cut my finger on that, and who knows how much more of that's in there, you know. But danger is my middle name. Danger is my business, so I guess I'm gonna risk it. I guess Joe Cautious dude would put on a pair of leather gloves, but I'm not gonna. And there's the reason why this light is broke in the first place. I guess one of the best recommendations I could make is get rid of your dog. If you want stuff to hold up, get rid of your dog. There's another piece of that glass waiting to cut my finger. And alrighty. Okay, now what we'll do here is we will attempt to remove this plastic electrician tape that the instructions recommend you use. And so off that comes. And you just squeeze these connections, which may or may not be easy to do, to take that off. And then your old one, I recommend not throwing it away, you know, because that way you can look like some kind of hillbilly hoarder with a bunch of crap around. That's always a good thing. But also, you know, if you ever get one wiped out, you know, at least you have parts. It'd be impossible to get parts once these become discontinued. Just like this lid here, you know you're going to lose some of them lids. So that's what we got going on there. Now we will put in the new one. So we kind of have a deja vu thing going on here. Or maybe I'll just edit out, put it in the other one way or another. Unpack your contents, ignore the instructions. There you go. Maybe if I read them instructions, maybe I could figure out why they quit working. Maybe I did something wrong putting them in the first place, huh? We'll never know. We'll never know. All right. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to save these boxes, and that's what I'm going to put my used ones in that are no good, but it'll be easier to identify them, keep them from breaking any more than they are. And they can just sit on the shelf and take up room and get cobwebs on them for 20 years until we replace these. And you know, the whole 20 years I can ask myself, what the hell are you saving those old broken lights for? Alright, so here we go. Pretty much just slide her together. Slide your tube into your lamp, and then slide your pokey thing into the tube. Now these things will break off right away. You might as well just break them off on day one. You know, if somebody bumps that when they're trimming bushes, or if a dog runs by, they will break that. But if that does break, what you can do is you can get a piece of, I use some reinforcement rods, some rebar on a couple of these. I pounded that in the ground. I just, a little bit smaller diameter than that, you know, so there's enough room for the cord, but then I just slid it over the rebar. You could use any type of rod, it would work just fine. And so that's a good way to take care of this once this inevitably breaks. It won't break on all your lights, but it'll break on the one where you have the most traffic. So once again, time to install make our electrical connection. And you just squeeze. You can figure that out, but you squeeze there and theoretically the thing comes apart, and there it does. And once again, you take the wire and you pierce the edge of just gotta make sure I put, yep, that's how it goes back together. So you put lay the wire flat, pierce the edge with this with that sharp point. You'll see a sharp copper or brass looking point, and that's what you pierce it through. And the other one's got the exact same thing. You pierce through the other side, you squeeze it together, and then you turn on the power and see if it works. And it doesn't. Oh, it does work. It does work. So that's cool. So now we will tape this up because the instructions tell us to, and we always follow the instructions. We'll tape over our connector with our small roll of tape because there isn't enough clearance for the big roll of tape. I may or may not have to take out another landscape staple. There might not even be room to get the small roll of tape through here. Oh yeah, there is. Like I say, I don't even know why they tell you to do this. It certainly isn't going to keep water out. I think it's just to keep it from becoming disconnected. It's got kind of a ratchet clip mechanism to hold it together, but maybe they're afraid that'll fail. And that's all there is to that, sports fans. Then you can poke your light back in the ground. Okay, put your cap on it. And put the staple, landscape staple back in that you took out. Wherever that may be. Yes, it's right here. And step, brush your stones back in the way and cut your finger on the pieces of glass from the broken globe. That'll be a very important step. And that is all there is to that. And won't that look lovely at night? Alright, well, if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, told your friends, shared it, you know, do all the things you got to do to make this the most popular channel on YouTube. Thank you and see you next time. Okay, now look at them. Look what happened while our backs were turned. That dog, he grabbed some of that packaging material and, well, did what he's doing right now with it. So I guess another tip for you is, if you don't have one of those things, don't get one. Okay? If you do have one, see if any of your friends, relatives, or anything need one. Otherwise, you're just going to have to deal with this kind of stuff.